Come on, StreamYard. Okay, we're live. Go ahead.
Greetings and welcome to Wake the Dead. Today I'm very excited to be bringing a returning guest, William Ramsey. William is here to explain to us. We're going to have a little biography about one of the most influential people of today's culture. And when we look around at what's happening with not just gay rights and love wins and all that happened, now it's people are chopping the genitals off of their children. I mean, it is next level. Kinsey said in his book, the Human Male book, the first book that he did in 1947, that one, he said that children are sexual from birth. That right there opens the door to NAMBLA, to the trans movement, and the teaching kids in school about how to use condoms and how to masturbate. And we're going to learn more about the psyche of this gentleman and why they chose him. He was pushed by the same people as Margaret Sanger, Rockefeller funded, and he was promoted the way that Darwin was, pushed onto the consciousness of the people. And like Margaret Sanger, this Kinsey is one of the influential people that created the hell that we live in today. William Ramsey, he wrote a book called Children of the Beast. You can find his book at williamramseyinvestigates.com, and you'll find his books there. He's done Smiley Face Killers, Global Death Cult, Abomination, that's about the West Memphis Three. And then he's done two books about Aleister Crowley, Prophet of Evil, 9/11 and the New World Order, and Children of the Beast, Aleister Crowley's Shadow over Humanity. Crowley influenced the influencers, and we're going to learn the connections. Everybody knows how evil Kinsey is, but we're going to learn a little deeper as to what really he was looking for and what his consciousness was doing. So please, William, welcome. Thank you.
Sean, thanks for inviting me. It's great to be with you. And Kinsey really was, a lot of people, there's a dispute, like among my community, everybody kind of knows Kinsey is a monster, but a lot of other people really see him as a kind of liberator of the human experience and things like that. And I've talked to other journalists. I actually did a lot of research on Judith Reisman, who's really his kind of a biographer.
She's amazing. Like,
yeah.
What?
And she mentions Tim Tate, and I was talking to Tim Tate, who is a journalist, and he says a lot of people in his group really think Kinsey is this kind of liberator, forward thinking. And my group, it's like the opposite. Like we're not reading the same stuff, because what I know about Kinsey is just a monster, a really depraved destroyer, really a destroyer of kind of the culture. And they write in the book of Judith Reisman is, I can't remember the name of it now, but she wrote a few. There was Sexual Sabotage was this one book. So she wrote a number of books, but she says that there's a pre-Kinsey age and a post-Kinsey age, and I agree with her.
Right. And I don't know if you've seen this documentary that just came out recently. It's called What is a Woman? Have you seen that yet?
I heard that. Yeah, no.
In that film, the host or documentarian is asking a psychologist or whatever, I forget, but anyway, she works on the side of truth and reality anyway, and he asks her, why is it like this today? What happened? And she says one word: Kinsey. And I was just like, oh, me and my wife were like, oh, of course, we're doing this interview tomorrow. We just watched it.
Wow. So that was in between the time you invited me to talk about Kinsey and today. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I really I didn't see a lot of Kinsey until what was happening in the current thing. And now I really do.
I've got a couple quotes that maybe we can start with these. So are you familiar with the Reese Committee?
Sounds
in
familiar.
the,
What remind me of it?
so there was the Reese committee was looking at the influence of the sexual influence, debauchery, and I forget exactly. I could look it up actually if we wanted to do
I
that.
can look it up too.
Okay, you can look it up. Well, so as we go, I'll say this quote while you look it up. Okay, so
Okay, good.
the Reese committee wrote, and this is the sources from Rene Wormser in his book Foundations, page 105. It seems to this committee that there is a strong tendency on the part of many of the social scientists whose research is favored by the major foundations toward the concept that there are no absolutes, that everything, including basic moral law, is subject to change, however fundamental it may have been deemed to be under our Judeo-Christian moral system. Going on, it says the puerile doctrine that change is always necessary has led many of these scientists to believe that there is no longer any inalienable rights. They deem themselves justified, with the support of foundation grants, to label their prejudices as truth and to experiment with society. What they say, there is no gender, and let's experiment with our society. I mean, they're giving people hormone blockers. They're like chopping up little kids. I mean,
Grooming, just totally things that are unbelievable, truly unbelievable. The Reese Committee was set up by the House of Representatives to probe the activities of tax-exempt organizations for
yes, the
potential
foundations.
subversion.
Right. To investigate the foundations like the Rockefeller Foundation, those
Which
type
plays into this whole story. I think the Rockefeller Foundation financed Kinsey
Yes.
for like $500,000 a year for decades. Like it's an incredible sum of money back then.
Yeah.
Like really incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, so basically he was pushed by these foundations, and we know that these same foundations are the eugenics foundations that were funding Margaret Sanger, funding the change in school education. It was like takeover of medical schooling, everything, and Kinsey was the man they chose. Like similar
so
to
he
the
was
way
selected. He was kind of groomed, selected.
Yes. And if you look at his past, his history, you will see why they chose him. I mean, like if you know about Dennis Hastert, like what he started as a gym teacher who raped kids, Kinsey started as a Boy Scout counselor who would walk around naked and pee on the ground while he's talking to people. And he would have masturbation sessions with the children. And there are quotes of the kids fighting to keep Kinsey at arm's length while they're all masturbating together. So that is and Judith Reisman says that when she read Table 34 and how it explained in the male set, I guess we're going to probably talk about Table 34.
People need to be really careful because we're going to get into some dark material.
Yes.
So don't have kids around this show at all.
Right.
Anything. This gets really, it's like some of the darkest stuff you could imagine this guy did.
Yeah.
He was a total quack.
Yeah.
Crazy,
that's exactly why they chose him. And so they chose Hitler, they needed a total psychopath. So this dude, Kinsey, he would study gall wasps, and he didn't have any.
He was a zoologist.
He was a zoologist. Right. And he was trained under another, his teacher was Robert Latow Dickinson, who was a American obstetrician, gynecologist, surgeon. And Dickinson was one of the first physician scientists to obtain detailed sexual histories of his patients. He made very detailed drawings and sketches during a patient interaction, and they included drawings of the patient's genitalia. And over the years, he collected 5,200 sexual case histories. And if you understand like the way the Catholic Church works with the confessional, or like the way the Mormons, or not the Mormons, the Scientologists, they take with the e-meter, they like interview everybody and they collect these histories, just like the Skull and Bones. They make you sit in a coffin and jerk off and talk about every sexual history. Like, and this creates a power differential. It's the same way that when they blackmail people, they videotape them. This is like it's a proof of how debaucherous they are, And so Kinsey got this idea and he did the same thing. And so he was looking for everybody's sexual histories, and he was using it. Some of the people that didn't like his book, he would imply that he had the sexual history of that person, and they better not say bad things or I'm going to tell everybody you F goats or whatever, So, yeah, Dickinson was a total pervert also. And he said that that everybody was bisexual, and because of he says physiology is teaching us that we are all in some degree bisexual, that we possess some sex traits other than those characteristics of our overt type, with two series of stages between extreme masculinity and complete femininity. And he was an ardent supporter of birth control and the eugenics movement, and he gave professional support to Margaret Sanger. He had a deep faith, in quotes, and he was associated with the Holy Trinity Church in Brooklyn. I don't know, like some people, maybe other researchers that know about that type of stuff, maybe there's something there. But so, okay, I don't want to keep going, but I just, one more thing. Reisman said that he is obviously not just crazy, like he is a nudist and he jerks off with little kids. He also is a sadomasochist. And we can decipher that by reading the book and seeing these tables. And I guess maybe we can get.
I can put up some. Yeah, I can show some of these tables. Like, please. They are rough. Let's see.
Yeah.
This is a good documentary I could recommend. The Kinsey Syndrome: How One Man Destroyed the Morality of America. Really good. Chris Pinto, but
Judith Reisman.
They have some good stuff because there's Kenneth Anger's in there. So,
yes,
which we can talk about. Yeah.
So Kenneth Anger was one of. So Kinsey did films, in quotes, and Kenneth Anger starred in some of his films, and that leads me to believe that Kenneth Anger and Kinsey were doing the nasty, if you will.
Oh, right, because I bet they were. I would probably say, without doubt. Now, this is kind of why in Children of the Beast I kind of put Kinsey in there, because he and Anger, Kinsey had an interest in Crowley's diaries and went to the Abbey of Thelema in Cefalù, Sicily, with Anger. So on that same trip, you can see them together. This is 1940, I can't remember, but right, well, a year after this picture was taken, Kinsey passed away. But here he is with Anger, and I just think it's an important timestamp, and it shows these guys are interested in the same stuff.
Yes.
And
so Crowley.
There's another picture of him looking, Kinsey looking at a picture of Crowley. Let me see if I can.
In the Abbey, right?
In the Abbey, right?
The Abbey Thelema.
Yeah, let's see. Here it is. This is kind of like a little bit of a film, but let's see. Just show that picture.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very gross. Kenneth Anger.
So he's talking about Crowley, but then he goes through all these tables, and then these are all pictures that
in the
Anger
basement
took from the Abbey, yeah, and then this is them together. Let's see,
right? So they had.
Maybe I can see there they are.
There you
together.
go. Pause it right there.
This is the Abbey of Thelema. There's Kinsey, Crowley, and Anger. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So
Kinsey obviously had an affinity for the Anger. He filmed him doing sex acts, and Anger was deeply involved with black magic and following Thelema and what Crowley was pushing, right? So can we infer that Kinsey was doing sex magic, Crowley style sex magic? Do you think?
We could possibly deduce that. It's very possible that he was involved in that. If you look at his, I write in Children of the Beast, Crowley's goals and Kinsey's goals were the same.
Right.
No prohibitions on any sexual behavior. So
Right.
they're very much the same. So
Yeah, Crowley said that everybody or every child should see every sex act before they're like, I don't know, a certain age or whatever, very, very young, like they should witness it or something.
yeah. Oh, and he did. I mean, he played that out at the Abbey of Thelema.
Mhm.
There's stuff in his diaries that are like on par with Kinsey. So it's like bad.
Right.
And
Yeah, in the
both,
Abbey. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that's okay, but both Kinsey and Crowley didn't like Christians, so they would never hire Christians, and they had like this desultory view because that would be like a check on them. So it's interesting, like Kinsey's environment, he shaped an environment around himself that would allow for what he was doing. So no blacks, no Jews, no believing Christians, no Catholics.
Right.
So he had this like,
and they had to be kind of on the scale of homosexual and like be willing to do sex acts on camera for him because he did porno with his staff. He made them he made them do pornography. I don't know if that was to like break down their mental barriers or whatever, some kind of psychological exercise for them, but they had to agree to it. And they had to give all of their sexual histories. So this creates, again, a power differential. So he's the most alpha male because he can harm all of them by exposing their evil,
Right. But he's like, it's almost like an S&M relationship he had with people.
Right.
Where he was the boss, he had the information, he would abuse them, he would be dominant. They had to kind of go along. He preyed upon younger men. He got, 19-year-old, he's an older guy. Like really kind of
he did the same thing when he was, when he was a camp counselor for the Boy Scouts. And then when he was done with that, he went and was a camp counselor for his local church. And, he would take kids out in the woods and teach them how to masturbate and like whatever else he did. But, he started as a pederast, back then. And and it progresses and it gets like more crazy and weird. It eventually ends up like, I mean, I'm just going to say this because this is the most horrific thing I've ever heard. He got in a tub, Kinsey did, and he circumcised himself with a pocket knife. That is the most horrific thing I've ever heard. And I can't imagine what type of psychology, he must crave pain. I mean, it's really sick. And we can talk about how he died too, maybe later.
Somebody said he mentioned it in the comments, but yeah, I think that's a true story. That's what Janet Reisman said. But he also like got information from a literal Nazi serial pedophile in communication, Fritz von Balusek, who's a member of Hitler's World War II Gestapo. And just a monster. So he was like in communication with these other people. Rex King was another one who's known as the king of child molesters, raping 800 children. Like those are his data pools. Yeah.
So Rex King called himself Mr. Green. Now that specifically relates to MK Ultra. Dr. Mengele was known as Mr. Green. Dr. Mengele tortured children. And I think that Rex King is a pseudonym. I mean, Rex King, probably. King, like Rex means king. King, like that sounds fake. So it seems to me that they have information from not just Balusek. I think that they were getting that MK Ultra torture information as well from the Project Paperclip, brought everything over to America. From that, they got all those files and they hired all, like Mengele, we brought him over to South America and we put him in Argentina or something. There's towns in Argentina full of twins, because of the experiments that, so like, I believe that Kinsey, because also, the Rockefellers and those types, the eugenics types were also funding the Nazis. as well as Kinsey, I think there might have been a connection there. I can't prove it.
No, you can't prove it, but you can see those similarities.
Yeah.
The head of the Rockefeller Foundation and all these guys are going through the leadership. Nelson Rockefeller at that time knows the foundation, what they're financing. He knows everything about mind control. He's the head of the, I forgot the HEW. I forgot what the acronym means, but he's the head of it, mind control in the mid 50s. So, right. And this is the same kind of torture, trauma-based mind control trauma that Kinsey has no problem conducting. You can just see from all these weird tables that he did.
Yes. So,
and he made up all kinds of crap. All his stuff about the sexual behavior of people is nonsense. He said that 95% of the people in America would be sex offenders and they'd all be in jail. So he made up all this nonsense.
Well, they also cooked the books, like for the female book, in order to get the promiscuity rates higher. He considered any woman that lived with a man for more than a year married and put all of her information in the married column. And that also goes for prostitutes who live with their pimp for more than a year. So whatever the prostitute is doing goes into the married women category, and it skews the numbers profusely. And we also know that for the male book, he was interviewing criminals, obviously pedophiles. We're talking about that. That's how he got this table, and maybe we can talk about this table. But he was interviewing not average citizens. He was interviewing total psychos and sexual perverts like himself, so that it normalizes the perverseness, and that way because this book, seeming so scientific, they use stopwatches. Look, it's a table. It looks like a science book. They're pushing this into the mindset of the zeitgeist of the world, just like they did with Darwin. Look how scientific it is, same thing. Right. Pushing
scientism, right?
Scientism, yeah. So please explain this table. This is from Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, right? This is
right. So they're talking about abusing 2-month-old babies to 1 year and conducting these torture experiments. So 317 males, just totally crazy.
So what they admitted to was observing 317 males starting from 2 months to 15 years old and observing their climaxes, orgasm, and how long it takes to reach said orgasm. Judith Reisman has a letter from Paul Gephardt, who worked with Kinsey on retaining this information. And he said that there was manual and oral used on the children to achieve these, as well as other things. And she mentioned it on Phil Donahue as well. So this is
another one. This is another one from Sexual Behavior of the Human Male.
Right.
Pre-adolescent males. Look at the age range. The data on these sexual activities of younger males provides an important substantiation of the Freudian view of sexuality as a component that is present in the human animal from earliest infancy. So that's what they're pushing. It's just like
Satanism, right? Human animal, right? Yeah.
Right. And that's important because they are Darwinists. So Kinsey was a Darwinist, Christ hater, all that stuff.
Yes.
And very bigoted kind of in his outlook. He wasn't,
Right. And if you can look, there in the middle of that table, there's a 4-year-old child who supposedly achieved 26 orgasms in 24-hour period. So that requires, if you think about it logically, that requires the child to be observed and abused for a 24-hour period. That doesn't include sleep or food. I mean, that is torture, straight up torture. So Kinsey's definition of orgasm is as follows. This is from Sexual Behavior, Human Male, page 161. He says, a gradual and sometimes prolonged buildup to orgasm, which involves still more violent convulsions of the whole body, heavy breathing, groaning, sobbing, or more violent cries, sometimes with an abundance of tears, in parentheses, especially among younger children.
He's sick. He's a mad scientist.
Dude,
He's a totally insane scientist.
it goes on. It
This
says,
guy has zero legitimacy. He should have been jailed.
dude, it's
It's unbelievable how anybody
totally.
gives this guy any credence. And it's very important because Kinsey comes up to today, but Harry Hay, who was really the founder of the gay rights movement, he springboarded off sexuality in the human male. That's what he quoted. So they use that as evidence that, hey, this is it. And then you have the Harry Hay tied to Crowley. Sure. Harry Hay, when he was in Los Angeles, literally played the organ at OTO gatherings, possibly with Jack Parsons. I haven't confirmed that yet, but Harry Hay is using this Kinsey stuff, and that's the beginning. And he mentions Crowley too later on in his life. Yes. Harry Hay does.
Yeah. So Crowley says that it's good to do this to kids. Crowley was abusing children with the same trauma-based mind control. And the definition goes on to say the males in the present group, pre-adolescent boys, become similarly hypersensitive before the arrival of actual orgasm, will fight away from the partner, and may make violent attempts to avoid climax, although they definitely derive pleasure from the situation. Kinsey, page 161, Sexual Behavior, Human Male. It is torture. He's telling the people reading the book, even though they cry and scream and hit you and try to get away from you as you're raping them, they like it. So this is convincing pedophiles that it's good. And then it also tells people like the women in that What Is a Woman documentary that are being interviewed, saying that children are sexual from birth because this happens, because breathing, sobbing, violent cries, hitting and running away equals orgasm. The only reason, because there is no ejaculate, so we have to interpret other things as orgasm. That it's I'm sorry,
dude, it's so sick. It's the most twisted thing imaginable.
And this is the foundation of what all sexologists or whatever, people that teach sex in schools, it's all based on Kinsey. So that's why we're doing this. We got to tell people what it really is. And what I know and what I've learned from what's available is it even goes further than that, because he was into the sex magic, black magic. He was following Crowley. He wanted Crowley's sexual history. Imagine that, reading that, how sick that would be. Ugh. And he must be getting off on this. Kinsey must get excited reading these,
No, it's sick.
Yeah, it's sick.
There's just so much. I mean, the thing is
it's just
but he's like a zoologist.
Right.
He's running illegal at the time, very illegal to film these sexual things. He's he was a eugenicist, so he believed, Kinsey wrote at one point that 10% of the American population should be sterilized. He literally believed that. Not kidding.
Jesus. And, so he kind of sterilized himself. Going back to, I just want to throw this in before we run out of time. I don't know what time it is, but so Kinsey,
we've got about 20 minutes.
Okay. So Kinsey is no longer with us because of what he died of orchitis. And orchitis is a serious inflammation and disease that he inflicted upon himself. It was basically the things that he did to himself led to his disease. There's a quote in Kinsey biographer James Jones said, after Rockefeller withdrew their funding, Kinsey went to a basement, tied one end of a rope to a exposed ceiling pipe and the other end around his scrotum, stood on a chair and jumped off. This led to his demise. This orchitis is an inflammation and disease of the testicles, and this is what killed him. So he promotes all of these insane sadomasochism things done, and yet it killed him. Just wanted to say that. Okay.
Yeah, so fairly young. Was he 60 or something? I mean, he wasn't very old.
Right. Very old. Yeah. So he went to the Abbey of Thelema. Did you learn any more? Did he get the
I
uh
believe that he did obtain something. He found the coveted diaries while visiting London in 1952, and
wow.
then traveled south to the Abbey of Thelema.
Hmm.
Um,
So he
Kinsey
found
remarked
the
that the most
diary and then he went to look at this place and see all of the like
he
where
wanted
it
to see
happened.
the yeah,
Right.
but he wanted to see the like sexuality of it. So he said Kinsey remarked that the most open sexual pictures are very crude, while in southern Italy, Kinsey in anger cruised homosexual haunts, supposedly gathering scientific information. So
In quotes scientific.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I mean,
okay. So Kinsey
um,
is adding, so he's compiling, he's got the information from this Dickinson teacher guy that's a eugenicist. And so he's taking that and then he's running with that guy's thing of like collecting sexual histories. And then the most coveted debaucherous sexual history of Crowley is there, and he received the book. I mean, I guess let's and then what and all of these books, all of this information is being held, including the pedophile um, notes and incriminating evidence. All of this is being held at the Kinsey Institute. Correct?
I think so, and it's not available to the public, right?
Right, because they're not letting the cops see what all of the offenders had done, and because that's personal information, and uh, they're protecting the pedophiles even to this day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then Jim Jones comes out of Indiana University too, right? So
right.
like it's just like super crazy.
So, and Indiana University must have been like, I think that's where the Dickinson dude was, and so this must be one of the hubs of their, the black magic, the black magic,
So some
what I
of
mean.
these
The
studies must
mind
have
control
overlapped.
is
Yeah,
like,
they must
yeah,
have overlapped. Yeah.
yeah, it must have come from this, like,
I mean, the whole suspicion is that Jim Jones too was run by operatives and had people. He was in kind of
yes,
weird. He was in the Mendocino hospital. He got kind of almost like Jimmy Savile. He was given kind of carte blanche
right,
at some kind of weird state hospital. Just
yeah,
like he had weird connections.
that's interesting. And he also had all kinds of drugs. I mean, he was
Tons.
using and
Yeah.
he was getting drugs like to give to the people, not just the cyanide, but he was
Right.
using mind control drugs as well.
Right.
Um,
They had massive amounts. They had a full pharmacy at
yeah,
Jonestown. He was doing all kinds of weird stuff and definitely behavioral and social control where he was the boss. Kind of almost
exactly.
like Kinsey, like really creepy, like
Right. So
cult type.
Kinsey
I mean, he was a
Kinsey is
cult.
like applying that to the greater world, everybody, taking that information. Oh, you should abuse your kids. You should, they should see all the sex acts, before they're 4 years old or whatever. And in that, it's degrading us, making like fracturing us, making us not a family anymore, making it like we don't even know what we are,
Right.
you know.
Right. So
Uh,
Judith Reisman in this book, she juxtaposes the pre-Kinsey era, post-war, where people didn't even know about. They didn't believe in premarital sex. They didn't have a problem with not believing it, so they didn't feel like there was anything wrong with them. That they weren't sexually active. To the post-Kinsey, which is like, oh, we got to go out and do this because we're missing out, and blah blah blah. So there really was a change between the 50s and 60s. A lot of it, you know,
right.
facilitated by Kinsey, Rockefeller money, etc.
Right. And that goes back to like, what we talked about in the Rosemary's Baby, like year one of Satanism was 66, and then it like kind of pushed since then. I mean, they had the before that in the 50s, they had Playboy, and that in 53 was released in the same year as Sexual Behavior in the Human Female. And that book really promoted promiscuity and, you know, women like said that like 50% of women had extramarital affairs and all of these things. And it like devolves us into thinking we can't trust our wives and we might as well just cheat and like break up the
Right.
family. And then, and those people, the baby boomers, ended up like growing up to have everybody gets divorced. They just throw it all away, and they're all, ego based, and they're thinking about themselves, and
Right.
and they don't. And
My
their family,
generation, my parents' generation in the 70s and 80s, everybody got divorced,
right,
and just massive battles, family
right,
battles. Like
same
that was
here,
the norm.
right,
Yeah. So yeah.
and that must have come from something. They're like, if it was such a huge wave, um, like there's something behind it, and these culture creators like Kinsey, like Margaret Sanger, like everybody that Rockefeller paid for, you know
Right.
it is devolving society into what we have today, where now people can't even say what a woman is. Like the
Right.
Supreme Court nomination that she
Yeah.
says, no, I'm not a biologist. you know
Right. It's
and like
unbelievable.
and
Like
then
you're the top of the intellectual pyramid. You can't even define a woman. Like it's
right,
off the charts for
yeah,
political reasons or whatever.
and their whole job is to interpret language, to
Right.
like
Right.
interpret the law as its words. And if she can't define a word, how's she gonna, and really what the reason she was picked is because she let off so many pedophiles. She was like
Right.
letting
That's
them
history.
go.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
It's
why
all
they're putting
Kinsey
her at the
stuff. It's
top.
the Kinsey outlook.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Yep. Kinsey, one word, Kinsey. So I think that
And
this,
look at the porn generation. Like
yes.
these kids have been normalized. Like I see these memes that are so disturbing, like a 10 or 12-year-old boy describing sex acts like he's like a
Oh,
dirty like naval guy who just got off a ship and he's 27. Like I'm
yeah.
just like, what are you being
Yeah.
exposed to? Because my
Right.
generation, we were not exposed to that. It was all a totally different media. It was
Right.
Playboy
You
type
had to
things.
find a magazine or whatever. Now it's
Or
everybody.
your
It's in,
uncle or something, but now it's
yeah.
like it is as ubiquitous as anything else on. There's
It's in
no
everybody's pocket.
prohibition. Yeah.
There's no, I
There's
mean,
yeah. There's no
the,
prohibition on any at
yeah.
any age. At any
Yeah.
age, mind you.
And they
So
think
like
it's good. Businesses like Disney are pushing that. They're like, they're getting mad about Florida making that law where they can't sexualize kids that are 3 years old, like 5 years old.
right,
I mean,
right,
why would Disney want to do that? What is it really all about? And then
right.
you'll go down the Disney rabbit hole, and holy
Right.
crap.
That's another one. Yeah. Room
Yeah.
33 and what he really was up
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. And like, it's all like programming the kids, and,
Yeah.
trauma-based mind control uses Disney programming. They'll play a Disney movie while the kid is being attacked, and it affects their consciousness. Like that movie, Fantasia was created for trauma-based mind control. It, the images are meant to like be shown to a child who is drugged and being raped, and it helps to fracture the mind. It's really sick. But like that, you'll learn about that if you read like Fritz Springmeier and Cisco Wheeler. Anyway, that's kind of a little off track, but really it is
Well,
kind of one
it
big
does.
scoop. Yeah.
They're doing, I mean, these are what is public that he's torturing children, but there
Yeah.
may have been even something more deviant and they're keeping tabs of this and this is going to somewhere else, right?
Yes.
So he may be just conducting experiments that are going to some other part of the university or the MK Ultra system. You don't know. I don't know. But we know
Yes.
that he's doing it, but somebody
Right.
out there's maybe some other freak doctor there was tons of CIA MK Ultra doctors. They could be sharing that information. All that information probably isn't destroyed, but they're trying to figure out what it does in studying these subjects, which are really children for decades. I think they
Right.
were doing it. They
And
had
all
a
of that adds to the MK Ultra knowledge,
yes,
of the creating Manchurian candidates.
all everything.
Yeah.
Split personality, disassociation, all those
Right.
different states of the mind. They're playing around. What's really scary is that there's certain parts of the CIA, they were looking at special kids who were really intelligent, but they wanted to follow them to see how they determined these young kids and how they grew up, which tells you they were looking at subjects over a long period of time.
Of
So they
course.
wanted to see the young 10-year-old and see how they developed over 30 years,
Right.
one of the most freakish experiments. What about if they're watching some of these type of subjects for that amount of time,
Right.
which is
And
never public.
if they're
I don't
willing to
assume
tie
all
down
that
a
information.
4-year-old and like, manipulate him and, torture him for 24 hours straight, what aren't they willing to do?
Good point.
And that,
Right.
and they publish it. And everybody's like, oh, this is a great book. We should base all of our sexual, from now on, we should throw away all that Christian stuff. And, now we can all be whores and have a 60s and, fornicate in the mud at, Woodstock and all that. Yeah. And then, but that's not, everybody's like, oh, yeah, he started the sexual revolution. But he started what's happening now. I mean, that quote that I give in the beginning, where there are no absolutes, that's where it's going. There is no truth. There is no sexual gender. Like there is no, it's just whatever you feel. If
whatever you feel.
Yeah. Right.
What isn't that part of What Is a Woman? I haven't watched it. But
is.
Isn't like the guy asking this guy, what's your truth? And he's like, I'm so offended by that.
Yes.
I'm gonna end this if you keep asking me what the truth is.
And offended,
like, you can't even answer. Yeah.
Of truth.
Just asking him what the truth is. Like,
right.
That's your offense. Wow.
Because like there is no reality anymore. Everybody can be what they want. And it got to the point where now kids can say, oh, I'm a cat. And the school teachers have to like, okay, cat,
right, give him a cat box.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Put a cardboard box on the ground, let him jump in it.
My God.
Like it's sick. And it's like, so the gender thing is the beginning. That's the opening of the door. What's next is the transhumanism. They're going to be cyborg. They're going to be cats. They're going to be dragon, whatever they want to be.
Yeah, and if you resist, you're a bigot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you say the truth, if you say the truth, then everybody hates you. And then and then the division and, you won't give me my pronouns, like it's really the next level. And it's all kind of, the first step was Kinsey. And then the next step is like, oh, the gays get accepted. And then the next step is like, oh, the transgender. And then it's going to be NAMBLA. It's going to be,
it's going to be,
and then it's going to be
Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be Sodom and Gomorrah.
It's going to,
there.
Right. Cannibalism.
And people are going to serve their kids up to it because they think it's right. That's the highest moral.
Yeah.
And that was Harry Hay. Harry Hay progressed from, gay rights. And then at the end, he was like, I walk with NAMBLA. Like I'm on that spectrum where
it's sick. And like if you have a morally subjective stance, then you're allowed. I'm allowed to be pedophile because whatever, everybody should accept it. But you're attacking somebody else. Somebody else their rights are being affected and stolen, and it's not your right to be that. You can think what you want and go stand in the corner, but you can't attack people with your sickness. They have to, and then like, oh, well, kids agree to it. That's grooming. Kids can't agree to it. They don't know what it is. They don't have the mental capacity to consent.
They can't consent.
Exactly. That's why the laws are there, to protect the kids. And, we're in a dangerous thing where you can't protect the kids. Like if you can't have that, then you're breaking the law. It's unbelievable that some of these laws aren't enforced. Like, right.
I mean, you can't sign a contract for a credit card or like a car loan,
but
you can have a full sex change,
right?
Or beta blockers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like this is so crazy.
Yeah.
And they're really pushing to like subvert the parents' control authority.
Exactly. Yes. And in California, they're passing laws where an 11-year-old can consent to taking the injection, whereas the parents aren't even told. They don't even have to tell the parents. They're trying to push that in the law right now. I think that is totally evil. I mean, if they don't,
me too, yeah.
I mean, they're stealing the health of the kids against the parents' will, and so like that if the kid is sexual since birth, according to Kinsey, then he can consent, right? Oh, they like it. And, even though what we know,
they're crying, screaming out, trying to avoid.
Yeah.
That's an orgasm, is
Right. Yeah.
running from pain or whatever.
Right.
That
And if
lack
you
of-
and if you with your moral relativism can look at them crying and screaming and still do it and think in your mind, oh, they definitely enjoy this, then you are totally satanified, you know?
satanified. That's the interesting thing, is that he took the pedophile's position. The
Right.
kids can consent and the kids enjoy it. It's the same position as what they
Yeah.
say now.
And the only reason he would say that is because he's one of them too, because he's a pederast and a sadomasochist who
Just the worst kind of human being.
Yes. Yes. And no wonder they chose him, to be the front man. Like they chose they'll choose who's the guy that William Burroughs killed his wife, and he's a total junkie and he buggers kids, and he's like, the forefront of the beat movement, like Allen Ginsberg. They're like, push these people that are total sickos and then make them heroes, and then they laugh. It's like an occult mockery, like, look at like
look what we've done.
Yeah,
look what we've done to the culture. Look what we've done to sanctity, to
Christianity, to like morality.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Sean, I got to wrap it up. Anything you'd like to add? I mean, I thought it was a great conversation. I got to move on to another interview.
I understand.
Where can people see your stuff? Where's Wake the Dead?
Oh, Wake the Dead. You can find that anywhere. Wake the Dead. You can find it on onegreatworknetwork.com under the creators section. You'll see my name, Sean McCann. I post everything there. And Wake the Dead is an audio podcast pretty much anywhere you can find it, audio podcasts. And I do video. I put on Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble. You can search Wake the Dead. And I do sell t-shirts. It's storefrontier.com/Wake the Dead. And I have some anarchist designs and some fine art photography. And thank you for letting me host my show on your platform. This is great. And I appreciate you being my guest again. And it's always a delight to have you. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, Sean. Thanks so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Stay there.